Here we are being Mechanes Atzmeinu, getting ready for Parshas Zochar. For this coming Shabbos, we're going to learn had to be Makayim to fulfill the mitzvah daraisa, the last three psukim. At the Mafter Parshas Kiseitze, we're going to be learning about mitzvah Smechias Amalek. Alright, the Heilige Rambam as follows, Legabi, with regards to the Chiyuv of Hachrim, Tachrimim, of destroying the Zayin Amim, the seven nations, inhabiting the land. And with that, we turn to the Chelik HaShoftim in the Yad, Hilchos Malachim, Perek Chamishi, the fifth Perek in Halacha Daled. Writes the Heilige Rambam as follows, Mitzvah Saseh, Lahachrim Shiva Omim and Shenamar Hachrim Tachrimim, Nachol Shabo Liyodo Echon Mehen, V'lo Hargu. If a member of the seven nations meets up with you and you don't kill that individual, Hareza over below Sase, Shenamar Lo Sechaya Kol Neshama, you can't allow him to live. Again, it's a big machlokes, Rishonim and Achronim, the Grok Sava Kabbalah, and many Rishonim already exactly how to interpret Lo Sechaya Kol Neshama. The Rambam's telling us that if a member of the Zayin Amim meets up with you and you don't kill him, you are over, and the Lo Sase of Lo Sechaya Kol Neshama, Kvar Avdu, V'avad Zichram, they are already gone, these Zayin nations. Then we move on to Lochahei, writes the Rambam on the heels of the Hachrim Tachrimei that pertains to the Zayin Amim. Now he's talking about Mitzvah Smechias Amalek, and listen to the contrast. V'chein Mitzvah Sasei La'abed Zer Amalek, not only to be Ma'abed, the Zecher of, even though there it's Lo Sechaya Kol Neshama, here the Mitzvah Sasei is to be La'abed, to destroy, to make null and void Timche, that clearly connotes utter extermination, full annihilation. La'abed Zer Amalek, that is our obligation of the pages of this week's Parshas Zochar at the close of Kiseitze. We have to continuously remind ourselves of it. In the Sefer HaChinuch, who typically goes bikvus and heels of the Rambam, echoes the same sentiment. We have to be ma'or continuously. The Eva, the animosity, the enmity towards Amalek, Shenamar Zochar Shesher Selachal Amalek, Mechulei Asur Lishkoch Evaso, and also we have to remember what they did to us. Notice the contrast. There, Legabi the Zayin Amim, the Rambam made it a point that if a member of the Zayin Amim meets up with you and you don't kill him, the Yochid is over on the mitzvahs Lo Saseh. Here he's telling me there's also mitzvah saseh to wipe out Amalek, to destroy him, Ma'abed is Zera Amalek, but he doesn't go on to say in the very next halach, he doesn't say a word about it. If you meet up with an Amalekite and you don't kill him, you're over on the Lo Saseh, you didn't go in and kill him. Yeah, there's a story about some Sefer killing Amalek, the famous story of Rav Gusman as a partisan in the forest Holocaust time, and he also killed a German soldier, descendant of Amalek. In the end of the day, why is the Rambam now telling me you're over in the Lo Saseh? Saying the Pasha says because it's not a chiyuv that's mutal kol yochid v'yochid, and it is a din in the Rishonim. Shitas Rambam clearly seems to be, especially when contrasted with Perakei Halacha Daled the Gabi the Zayin Amim. There it's a din of kol yochid v'yochid to kill out every member of the Zayin Amim. Lo sechaya kol neshama. Mashenka, when it comes to Amalek, it's a chiyuv that's mutal on the tzibur, but it's not mutal kol yochid v'yochid. You meet up with a member of the Amalekites in the end of the day, and you don't kill him, you're not over on the Asay of Timcha Zech Amalek, Lo Tishkach Lo Saseh. And the Rambam says this mafurish when he talks about the actual mitzvah and the Sefer Mitzvah, and Mitzvah Saseh, and Kupei Ches, it's not really clear. He should Sivonu La'achar Zera Molek Levad Mishar Zera Esav. Famous Biskarov. Why does he have to tell me Mishar Zera Esav? He's killed where Archiyuv is to kill Zera Molek Mishar Zera Esav Zachar Nekevis Ketanu Gedolim, and that's the pasuk in the end of Kiseitze Timcha Zech Amalek, and that's the mitzvah of La'achar Zera Shal Amalek. Mechamas Amalek is a Mechamas mitzvah, but it's not clear from there whether it's Mutal Kol Yachar Yachar or Chiyuv on the Tzibur. But let's go to the end of the Chelik of Mitzvah Saseh in the Rambam Sefer Mitzvahs. And after he gets through the 248 positive commandments, Keneged the Ramach, Heivar and the Mensch, then he has some paragraphs after he enumerated all the mitzvahs Saseh. Vedan, he goes on to speak certain aspects of the mitzvahs. And then he writes in the second paragraph, Kshetistalkyo kol elu ha-mitzvah shekodim zichra, heinei timtzeh mehem mitzvah shem chova ala tzibur. There are some mitzvahs, when you go back and catch a glance at all the 240 mitzvahs Saseh, there are some mitzvahs that are not a chiyuv Chiyuva kol yochid v'yochid, but rather a chiyuv on the tzibur. Lo lekol ish v'ish. They were not said to every member of Klal Yisrael, kigon, binyan beis habachira, a chiyuv mutal ala tzibur, v'akomas melach chiyuv ala tzibur, v'achrosas zaro shel le'amolek mitzvah ala tzibur. Here he spells it out, Baruch Abircha Katan, as opposed to the Harigas Zayin Amim Shinim Achrim Tachrimim. And those Achayik on Neshama, Zayin Amim Mitzvah Kol Yochid V'Yochid. When it comes to Harigas Amolik, it's a mitzvah that's mutal ala tzibur. That clearly Yeshitas Rambam spelled out quite explicitly in his paragraphs after he enumerated the mitzvah saseh, together with binyan beis havachira. It's a chova that's mutales al hatzibur ba'ofen klali, not ba'ofen ishi, ba'ofen prati. So l'chayra, that's the what. That's what emerges when you look at the Rambam Hilchos Melachim, the contrasting halachas when you look at the Rambam Sefer Mitzvahs. So why is that though? Let's try and understand this evening with Siyata Nishmaya. Why taka would Amalek be a chiv that's mutal ala tzibur? Mashiach killing out the Zayinim would be a chiv that's mutal kol yochid v'yochid. So the Fiyani is 90. The idea perhaps is as follows. We have a well-known Gemara Maseches Megillah Daf Yud Gimel Amud Beis, and the Gemara tells us Amarava, no one ever said Lishna Bisha like Hama. No one ever said Lashon Hara. Dahainu, Rabbi say this is the worst Lashon Hara in the history of the world. And what is the Dugma? What's the example of Chazal, the very worst Lashon Hara in the history of the world? Haman says about Klal Yisrael Achashverosh, they are an Am Mefuzah or Mefurad Bein Amim. Notice the choice terminology. The Mefuzah, they're scattered, or Mefurad, and they're dispersed. L'chayra, what's Mefuzah? They're scattered all over. And Mefura, they're dispersed, they're separated one from the other. When a Yid leaves, what do we call that? A Sudas Preda. Every Yid is leaving, it's a Sudas Preda. He is Nifron Meitanu. Mefura, they're scattered, they're dispersed even within their own ranks, within their own Jewish encampment. They are separated. Mefuzah umefurad. Famous Kliyakar at the end of Parshas B'Shalach and Perkei Zayin. The Chidah as well, and Achla Kedumim writes, the Chidah writes the Kliyakar, if you intermingle those letters of Pei and Reish, Vayilochem im Yisrael B'Refidim, where did Amalek attack the Jewish people? B'Refidim. Number one, we have B'Choras Hayim and Beis, Rafu Yudayim and Atayra. So what do I need to know? The Ma'inaf Kamina, the place where the attack occurred? Rafu Yudayim and Atayra. The Amalek can only get us when what? When we slacken off our grip. Figuratively speaking, we loosen off our Amelis and Yigiyah B'Torah. That's when Amalek can attack. We had mitzvahs already. Amara, you're going to slack off and be somewhat lax and you'll leave in HaTorah. That opens up the gates. That creates the Pesach that Amalek can go ahead, infiltrate, and attack us. That's one Bechina. But writes the Kliyaka, writes the Chidah, you know when Amalek can get us? Even with that, if we're together as an Am Echad, then they cannot attack. Amalek can only penetrate, can only go ahead and infiltrate our ranks when what? Vayilochem yisol b'refid, mix around the reish and the pei, and what do you get? Vayilochem im yisol b'pridim, sudas preda, amafuzah mefurad bein amim. If we're not together as one, Amalek prevents us from getting to Maiman HaSinai. That's their point of attack. Where do they try and get us? You can get out of Mitzrayim, big deal. You guys are not together. But when are we going to stop? We don't want you to get to the Piedmont of Sinai, where you're going to attain that lofty status of a Yichon Shama Rashi, the famous Mechut at the beginning of Perkei Tes in Yisro, Vayicha, not Vayachanu Malame, that what? They were Kish Echad, Belev Echad. They were mamish like one. Amalek tries to prevent that, preclude us from ever getting to Maiman HaSinai, where Hashem Yisparach is only going to give us the Torah. Writes the Siach Yitzchak and so many others. It was a T'nai, or Chaim HaKodesh, you're not going to get the Torah if you're not together as one. The Torah is Kudsha Baruch Hu Yisrael, V'Reis Echad, who writes the Maral, I'm only going to give you the Torah that's Ma'achid, the Eibishter, who is Echad Yachad and Yuchad, with Klal Yisrael, a Gai Echad Ba'aretz, Ayadei the Torah, only when you're Gai Echad. If you're not Gai Echad, then I'm not going to go and give you the Torah. That serves as the glue that cements our relationship to Krisis Abris. Amalek says, I'm going to get you when you are where? B'Refidim, Pridim. I'm the descendant of Amalek Haman, says the worst Lashon Hara. Now notice it doesn't say the evil or the worst words that were ever spoken. The choice Lashon of Chazal is it's Lishna Bisha, it's Lashon Hara. Now what is Lashon Hara? A Lashon Hara is evil. What does that mean, evil speech? Why is it evil? It's true. Right? The Lashon Hara, in contrast to Motzi Shemra, Lashon Hara is true. So why, Motzi Shemra, I understand you're casting evil rumors about a person. This is not rumors, it's bad to do, but why is it a Lashon Hara? L'chayra, you can be Medayik. What's the Indian of Lashon Hara? We spoke out this idea many a time. The idea of Rav, Reish Ayin, A Funner talks about a Pachad Yitzchak, Igros Uksofim, Nigro Peizayin. The Shorish, the etymology of Reish Ayin, connotes the sense of separation, of breaking apart. What does David HaMelech write in Tehillim, Kapitel Beis and Pasuk Tes? To ro'aim b'shevet barzel. Eibishter, break apart, separate my enemies with the steel rod. Ramban in his Ksofim, in his Rosh Hashanah, what happens when you break up a tekiah? What do you call it? A trua. Shorish Reish Ayin. You're breaking up a tekiah into at least 9 separate, disparate components. That's called a trua. A shepherd is labeled a Lashon HaKodesh. What? A roa. What's the task of a shepherd? To collect the broken pieces of the flock and put them back together. Ra, there's nothing intrinsically, inherently evil in the world, writes Ramban and Shar Gemul in his Ksavim. Ra is our perception of being separated and broken off from a Kodesh Baruch Hu. That's the idea of Ahavta l'reach hakamaycha in Kedoshim Yates Yirches. Love your neighbor. What's your neighbor? Your broken off piece. We all started as one gargantuan, huge neshama that metaphysically contained therein the 600,000 shorshi neshamas through which were sprouted and blossomed the millions of Yidden we have in Klal Yisrael. It started with one shorish neshama. Knesset Yisrael writes the Tomer Devorah, the Ramak and Aleph Dalad. That's good for the Yesod of Kol Yisrael Arevim Zebazen Shavuos Lamed and Aleph. Why is there a din arvis? Because we're all one neshama. We're broken all pieces from one neshama. That's why throughout the Torah Kedosha, my friend is called what? It's not love thy neighbor as thyself. It's love thy broken off piece of your same neshama as thyself. That's the idea of a ra reya. You ever wonder about that? Reya, friend, is always spelled chas or yud. Same letters as Ra. My friend is evil. Ra, Reya, what's going on here? Teretz says, what's the essence of friendship? I recognize you. You're all broken on pieces of one same neshama. We're all chalakim of guf echad, of neshama achas. Gematria 13, Gematria echad. You got to unite with the broken on pieces. That's the musig of Reyes. Amela, what's a Lashon Hara? Somebody speaks something with his Lashon, that's Meiria, that breaks up members of Klal Yisrael. So intrinsically, Rava can come up to the stage in the base medrash and say, Rabbi say the worst Lashon Hara b'davka, by definition, the Fianiist idea is a Lashon Hara that's separating members of Klal, so breaking up friendships. It could be true, and it's Lashon Hara because it's destroying relationships. And Mela, what by definition will be historically the worst Lashon Hara? When you're breaking up all of Klal Yisrael and describing them as an Amafuzar, Umefurad Bein Amen, that is Lashon Hara. So what does Esther say? What does she say? Why is he Hara? Of course he's Hara with the Hayah. He's the worst, the most evil, and the evil in the sense of what? His whole tachlis is to break up the Jewish people. The worst Lashon Hara, Haman Hara Hazeh, separate all the members of Klal Yisrael. Now it's very geschmack. Let's go to the Nesivus' Diak and his Megillah Starim and Megillah Esther. It says what? Nikalu Ayudim. We're holding now by the victory. Perak Tes Megillah Esther Posik Beis. Nikalu Ayudim Yarei Muhammadin Samakashul L'Shloch Yad B'Mavakshei Ra'asam. Frek the Nesivus. L'Shloch Yad B'Mavakshei Ra'asam. Just tell me, Poshet Vayaku. We hit him. We struck him. L'Shloch Yad B'Mavakshei Ra'asam. Why the Arichis? So Nesivus says what he says. The Fianiist Aiti. It's about l'shloach yad. It's not about you killing them. That the Eibusher is going to do. You have to extend your hand and start the shtalah. So what are they called? B'mavakshei ra'asam. They're people who want to do ra to you. Haman and all of his followers are what? Mevakshei. What do they seek to do? Mevakshei ra'asam. Haman ha'ra'azeh loshen hara. They want to break you apart. Mela, what's the tikkun? Givaldik nikalu ha'yehudim. What's nikalu? Loshen hakel. What's hakel? Everybody together. Mitzvah hakel chagiga. Given up hakel. Anoshim Noshim V'Tav. Mitzvahs Hakel, the Malbim writes in a few places, as opposed to an Eidah, which connotes a hierarchy. Hakel is everyone together as one. Vayikalu. It's all one Kehila. We got together as one to combat the Mavakshi Ra'asa. You tried to break us apart. Amafuz Mafurid. We're going to now be what? The Shluach Yad Eibusher is going to take care of the rest. B'mevakshei ra'asam, very geschmack. They came out to seek our dispersion, our internal separation. Amafuza, Mafura, the worst Lashon Hara. Ayidei Haman Arazeh. That is Amalek. Amalek says, I want to get you in Predim. I want to get you Amafuza, Mafura. So, Mamela, what do you see that Tachlis is? I want to get rid of the Tzibur. I want to get rid of the Actus. Mamela, we can understand. And the Bechinas HaMachshava, Svaras HaRambam. It's not a mitzvah called Yochid V'Yochid. It's always commensurate with what they try to do. We're to do what? We're here to break up your achdus. We're here to separate you, to scatter you. Amela Zechi, if nothing called Yochid Yochid. The whole tzura of Amalek, of combating Amalek, is coming at them with one Nikalu HaYehudim. Vayikalu is coming as a kal, is coming Lech Kenosis Kol HaYehudim. Everybody's got to be Rosam Yachat Acheles Mordechai. It's everybody together as one. Amela, how geschmack, Rabbi Sai. I mentioned this years past, but what Rav Zalman Sorotzkin says is one of the greatest miracles, if not the greatest miracle, of the whole Megillas Esther. One of the greatest miracles, he writes in his Chut Shel Chesed commentary, Gavaldik. Rabbi say, didn't every Jew in the world know Esther? Everybody knew. How could you not know Esther? Everybody knew Mordechai, the Rosh Hashanah, everybody knew Esther. And what is Achashverosh, right? Imagine Putin, right? He's got his KGB. Right? Putin, yeah, you can hire 400 mercenaries, you could try and kill Zelensky. But if he wants information, right, he could say, Achashverosh ruled the world. Achashverosh wants one piece of information. All he wants to know is, tell me Esther's Malah, tell me her origins, tell me her background. And every single Jew knows it mighty well. Can you imagine? I'm sure he sent down, right, $10,000 reward, $100,000 reward, I'll give you a free palace. Somebody tell me something, right? Can you imagine how much he beseeched, how much he pleaded, how much he offered? Not one Jew stepped up and would disclose the identity of Esther. That's one of the greatest miracles of the whole Megillas Esther story. No one said anything, right? That's Lashon Hara, Giloi So, Gevaldik. What's the tikkun? If the whole Inyan is Haman Hara, Lishon Abisha, Mafusim Mafurin, then the Chayr of Zalman Sorotzkin is correct. What's the only way to combat Amalek? When we have an opportunity to say Lashon Hara about someone and all of Kaisu unites together and agrees a tacit understanding, no one's going to go ahead and break that unity and disclose their true identity. That's Vayikalu, that's Lech Kenosis Kola Yehudim, that's Rosham Yachad Techilas Wordach, that's Echiyah Mutal on the Tzibur, to combat the people who want to break up the Tzibur. Zayin Amim, Zayin is not about the Tzibur. Zayin Amim is every Yid has a mitzvah, Yishav Eretz Yisrael, I have to live in Eretz Yisrael, you have to live in Eretz Yisrael. Zayin Amim say, no, this land belongs to us. Oh, you want to challenge my rights? So that's challenging Kilu, the right that I have as a Yochid to mitzvahs Yishav Eretz Yisrael. Not about battling the Metzias of Klal Yisrael and Am Echad, and Mela, they want to attack every single Jew and disallow and preclude every Jew from going into Eretz Yisrael. That'll be a mitzvah called Yochid Yochid. You're trying to stop me. I see a guy who's trying to stop me from my mitzvah proti of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, and I'm going to go and kill him. But Amalek, the Metzias of Amalek is, I want to get rid of Klal Yisrael as an Am. There is no Am, Loshen Im, togetherness. I'm going to go and destroy them. I'm going to break them apart. Mela, together as a tzibur, is the only way to come. We can't be over on Lashon Hara to defeat and to vanquish the people who are all about Lashon Hara, to be Meriah, to break us apart. It's going to be Vayikalu. It's going to be a Hakel. It's going to be what? Against L'shoch Yad. Those who Mavakshe Ra'osim, you want to break us up. We're going to come together like never before. Brosam Yachat Techeles Mordechai. We're going to come together as a Knessia, as a Kehila. We're going to destroy Amalek. We should be Zaychem et Hashem to destroy Amalek. Hachrasas, Krisa Zara Shal Amalek, and a return to Eretz Yisrael where we all belong, where we're going to be one day. Goy Echad Ba'aretz Be'ez Hashem Bekarov. Chanani Menakash Yomer.